agile, strategy, transformation, what else? Portfolio, lot of things, right? For a change, can we talk about football? Football is okay for all of you? Yes? Only if you say yes, we can do that. Yes? Okay. So let's talk about football. In the year 2003, our Lionel Messi made his debut, right, at the age of 16 as a substitute, and since when the journey started. But I know we can't spend the whole day talking about football today. So let's talk about something else, some other great things which happened in the year 2003. You'd be surprised. I think Hari will also be surprised. I founded a startup, and this is the name, this is the logo of that startup. It's called Altrise. 6 people, one vision. And this 6 people is myself, my cousin, my brother, my neighbor, my friend, my brother's friend. 6? Okay. So these were the 6 people, right? We had only one vision. What was it? To create awesome websites. That was the time of website designing. There's a lot of the .com boom and a lot of websites were getting created. That was our only goal. As a byproduct of that, we wanted to make some money also. Of course, we were students at that time and we wanted some money. I was doing my MBA at that time. And if you want to know a little bit more about the company, these 3 statements are what I wrote in my MBA assignment submitted to a professor about personal branding. Now, he asked me, how do you brand yourself? I wrote these 3 sentences. So I think there's a lot of bragging about it. I'm very proud, not so comfortable talking about it, but still very proud talking about it. And my areas of interest is website communication. I really don't remember why I included wireless communication there. Maybe there was some reason at that time which I don't recall now. Market research, advertising, running a web building company. I created a website actually with won 2 international awards. It's a reality. I'm not faking. It's a reality. But the problem is this statement was eventually rejected by my professor. That's a different story. So that's not what is important for us. And we made great websites. In fact, the image that you see here is from a website that we created for the Government of Kerala Tourism Department, right? And some of our clients were government organizations, India's 7th largest TMT manufacturer, schools, colleges, a Geneva-based NGO. Needless to say, one of us had some personal connect in all of them. We didn't do any advertising or branding or anything, but with that, we could manage some good connects with all of these people who we work with. The message, actually, it's not, if you were waiting to hear, okay, how the startup grew and it went to 1 million, 10 million, 1 billion, I'm sorry, it did not have, none of that happened. My parents said, enough of that, please get back to studies and get a job, which is exactly what I did. So this startup died a natural death. So that's a different story. So I will not go too much into my startup story as of now. But what I want to highlight is, in that process, what we were and what we did, running that startup. What we had a sense of ownership. Each of us were owners of that startup. I don't think there is, titles did not matter there at all. We were boundaryless. We didn't say, okay, this person will do development, this person will do testing, this person will talk to customers. None of that was there. All of us were driven by passion. In fact, the actual work started after our classes. So we worked late in the evenings, late into the nights, and then still created good quality products. We had absolutely no fear of failure. In fact, I think that goes without saying. At that time, I don't know what is there to fear for. So we took very calculated and not uncalculated risk, I should say. We didn't know there was a box. So we thought, for that reason, we were always out of the box. Always we thought how to do things differently. Always we thought how to make things happen. Always we thought how to make money. That's our only thinking. The context, the process is relevant there. It's all about the end goal that we worry about. Naturally, no ego, peer pressure, or competition, none of that existed between us. We were just having fun in the process, and in fact, we made some money as well. I bought a bike, I bought a cell phone, I paid for my petrol, all of this from my startup. So that limited period was a little enjoyable. And what we did, we truly experimented. For the simple reason that we didn't know what's the right way to do. Today we know what's the right way to do. Okay, there is a software development life cycle. You have to do phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And that time I didn't know. None of us knew. So we experimented. Okay, let's do this way. If it works, we'll continue. Otherwise, we'll do something else. We iterated every single instance we tried out. We showed our customer whether the customer was happy, customer was not happy. Accordingly, we changed for the good. We created our products, which are the websites, along with the customer in their premises. Now, why these are in quotes? Because these premises could be sometimes at their homes, at our homes. There was no cloud or anything at that time, so we were very innovative in deciding how to meet our customer, how to get the work done, and feedback was instant. And most obvious feedback is like a nod at the back of that, not like that, not this one, this color, that color. Oh, okay. So it was evolving along with the customer's wish. It was really co-creating along with the customer, and that instant feedback helped us to do the right thing. And the right thing only. Everything else is waste. Everything else is non-value adding. We were shameless in throwing away things that did not matter to us and did not work for the customer. There's no emotional attachment to anything that did not help us successful in the eyes of the customer. And we changed for good all the time. Again, coming back to football, fast forward 20 years, Messi and company won the World Cup last year. We all celebrated that. All of you are Argentina fans or any French fans here? Okay, I work in a French company, but I still am Argentina fan. Please don't tell this outside. And Messi and company won the World Cup. However, we all grew wiser, and product development has become a very complex activity and an uncertain activity, right? So what's this complexity and uncertainty all about? If you look at it, the way in which we create products, and I'm here talking only about the product part, right? So the way in which we talk about products, either there can be differentiation in terms of market or in terms of technology, or both. That's possible. Today's products actually is a combination of novelty of both technology as well as market. We have newer technologies coming and disrupting the way in which we think, the way in which we develop products every single day. Also, we are catering to newer markets. Newer markets are emerging. Newer customer needs are emerging every single time. So at least one of it is known. For example, at least we were in a relatively known market. We could have differentiated on the feature, or we were in a relatively known technology. We could have leveraged that to again add value to the customer. But both are evolving and both are new. So that brings in a set of complexity. Another dimension to look at it, the how and the what. Going back to my example previously of website development, we were very clear on what we need to do, right? We were also, actually we were not very clear on how we needed to do, but at least the what part was under control. The customers clearly told us, yes, this is what we want, and we had that luxury of staying with the customer, working with the customer to get things done. Today, that's not so easy. Getting the customer's mind share to work with you, to co-create, to innovate together, to an end result, that's not an easy thing to do. And as a result, both these goes into zones of uncertainty. You're really not sure of what can be done or what needs to be done. Even the customer themselves, most of the time, do not know what they want. Combined with that, the how part, how do we get there, including what technologies do we leverage, what platform do we use, what's the best way to do it? Do we do it in India? Do we do it in Europe? What's the geographical spread of the activities we do? There's a lot of uncertain elements that we need to address. That's also getting uncertain. So typically we operate at this zone of complex products and a complex environment, sometimes going into the chaos mode also. As you could see from major disruptors, including geopolitics like the Ukraine war, or the COVID-19, or the supply chain shortage, any of it you talk about, you are actually in the zone of uncertainty. And I don't believe, with all sense of optimism, that this is going to change drastically and then we will come back to what we were or where we were 20, 30 years before, where things are pretty much more predictable and certain. Now, as I mentioned, in this 20 years process of evolution, I grew wiser. I joined companies. I worked with a consulting company before, and now I'm with Schneider. So I have to work with this uncertainty, right? So we have to find a solution to this uncertainty. I found a perfect solution. and that is Agile, right? Excellent answer to this problem of uncertainty. And as a consultant, we are supposed to give answers to organizations. So I found the answer. There are only 4 steps to doing this. Step number 1, choose the right framework. There is Scrum, there is Kanban, there is test-driven development, extreme programming, frameworks and practices, I should say. Or if you have a large team, you have so many people, and if you have got a lot of money, SAFe is possibly an answer. So that's step number 1. Done? Okay. Step number 2, let's change the roles. You're a project manager, Scrum Master. From tomorrow, you're Scrum Master. Product owner, you're a marketing person. From tomorrow, you're a product owner, right? You change roles. And then we need Agile team. So everybody else is Agile team. We created that role and made sure that we have cross-functional team, people working together. And step number 2 done. Step number 3, processes. We want some method of doing it, right? Previously, we used to SDLC. We had nice stage of requirements gathering, then design, then coding, then testing. Now it's not there, but still some process is required. So let's do Scrum. It's very easy. So you start with a backlog, you iterate, you demonstrate, you review it with the customer, deliver, that's it, and you create product increments. And the last step, tools, big thing. Otherwise, improvements won't stick. We have to sustain the model, right? And we have Jira. I think there are about 40, 50 of them. It's better if you buy all of them and then choose on a need basis wherever it is required, or at least some of them, so that it looks very attractive, right? So that tools will give a lot of thing. Is that done? How is my transformation path? Why you're not happy about it? What's missing there? Something is missing there. Of course, people, right? There's no importance to people. I was so wrong in this understanding, and I'm do this with a fair admission. I was in this frame of mind for several years, and with that I consulted a lot of organizations, and I'm extremely sorry if I consulted some of your organizations and made this mistake. Okay. So the missing element here is a people factor. Many times we overlook the power of people, power of minds collecting, coming together, collaborating, creating value. So that was kind of overlooked. In my view, the real agile, what we call being agile, right? It's not only this. I'm in no way saying that the ones that I talked about, be it the roles, be it the processes, be it the tools, or the frameworks, all of that is important, no doubt about it. However, what is more important in the true style of an agile manifesto, though we value items on the left, what is items on the right value more? So more importantly, it is this madness that I and my friends exhibited when we were running a startup, right? You have to have that passion. You have to have that ability to change. You have to have that energy to work closely with the customer, irrespective of what. So that's the thing that will make a difference. I think very few organizations in today's context are non-agile, and it will be a shame to tell somebody, oh, are you following waterfall still? I think all of us are agile. But the real benefit of agile comes when you really pull in this people factor along with these frameworks and processes and tools and methods. That is when the real value will happen. Now, having said all this, it's easy to say, okay, I think if I tell Schneider saying that, yeah, I think let's innovate, let's iterate, let's experiment with the customer, all of this sounds nice, but we have to be very practical. In a practical sense, I'm taking Schneider as an example, but just related to any of the organizations that you're working for. We're all profit-making organizations. Right? We exist for profit. We have shareholders and the board that we are answerable to. So to them, we can't say that, no, I think we will experiment, our teams are so empowered. If they feel like working, they will work. Otherwise, they will think time to take, and go into an innovation mode, come back with the deliverable that will help them in the long run, maybe 5 years, 20 years. All good to say, But there is a limit to all this, right? So there is a structure that inevitably we need. We are answerable. We have to be predictable to our shareholders and anybody who is looking up to us. In that sense, organizations have imbibed this culture of hierarchy, primarily coming in from manufacturing world, but it works well. I'm not against any standard way of operations. Works well in most of the context, and we have a structure that we need to follow. We have leaders who can find answers. All of that is fine. Predominantly, most organizations still follow a hierarchical structure. Some of them follow a matrix structure, and both of it has its own pros and cons and all of that. Let that be. Let's not go into that area too much. However, the most important question is, how does value flow to the customer? Does the value flow to the customer like this, from the leader down to the team, from the team to the leader and to the customer? Most often, value flows to the customer like this, in a very, very amorphous fashion. You start somewhere with one team, it goes to some other team, that team adds some value, then it goes to the previous team, and then some people collaborate, then there is somebody who gives a better idea, and eventually it results in a value to the customer. This value, I'm generalizing in terms of a great product, a great service, whatever it may be. So that's how the customer gets the desired value out of this whole thing. Now, if that be the case, I was thinking how to really get this thing done in such a large organization, right? How do we really bring in that startup mindset that I spoke about, right? We have to be having some structure. At the same time, we have to be agile, we have to be innovative, we have to be out of the box. How do we combine both these things? My thought process led to several things, but two things I would like to summarize. We just have to create conditions of excellence for people to be at their best. Conditions where people can demonstrate all of these traits that I was speaking about previously. I'll give you one example of this auto rickshaw person. Let's take an autowala in Bangalore. With Uber app and without Uber app, have you seen a difference in his behavior? Yes or no? A person driving with the Uber app, who picks you up and drops you distant location, compared to somebody who is at the road and you wave, there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of negotiation, the behavior is different. So what actually has changed this? There is a system to it, there is a structure to it, which is the app in this case, be it Uber or Ola, whatever we're speaking about. So that structure has changed the mindset of that person to behave differently in a particular context, right? Can we design these structures in our organization to bring out the best in our people, to be more innovative, to be more risk-taking? Can we provide them this psychological safety? Morning I was listening to someone else who said that. Can we provide the psychological safety for people to say, I think this direction that we are taking for developing our products does not make sense. It does not solve the customer's problem. We have not even gone back to the customer asking whether this is the right thing to do. Can we bring structures to make people empowered in that fashion? So that's one of the thoughts which crossed my mind. Second is not to underestimate the power of a human mind. You look at this person, he's a chef, right? Even with the best ingredients, with the right kind of utensils in a kitchen, or with the right kind of all the latest cooking technology and the recipe book in the world, still that one chef makes all the difference in terms of what comes in our plate. Agree? Especially all of these five-star hotels like this. So there's a lot of power in that personal trait, in that personal skill one need to carry. So if you're able to combine these two things, the power of the structure, helping to bring out the desired behavior of people, with the ability of the people to be more innovative, to be more skillful, to have the right mindset to deliver, I think that's where we will have success in bringing that startup mindset to large organization. I did some secondary research on this. What is secondary research? Primary research is, I directly going to ask startup founders, why are they successful and all of that. There's a lot of studies already done on that. So I referred to these studies and looked at those traits which helped startup organizations to be successful. At two levels. One is at an organizational level. Second is at an individual level, at a people level, right? At organizational level, I think all of these are quite obvious. Organizational level, what is most important is having a vision and the focus to go to that vision. Adaptability and agility. Innovation and problem solving will be the continuous aim of this particular startup. Strong leadership. Don't confuse this with very rigid leadership, but it's more of somebody who is really ready to give direction. Speed and execution. As you can see, startups can turn around just like that and prepare awesome products. Strong network and partnerships that they create within the ecosystem, and finally scalability and ambition. They'll always have a long-term view of how to scale, how to make things better, etc. At the individual level of people working in the startups, and I've really seen this, talking to people and listening to them. Customer centricity, again, a very big word, but what it really means is, going back to my website example, it's a passion to work closely with the customer and to really solve his or her problem becomes the number one priority compared to anything else. Second, collaboration and learning, constantly in the urge of learning new things. Creativity, high degree of creativity compared to anybody else in the industry. Everybody in the startup world will have an entrepreneurial spirit, not just the CEO. It'll be like a common spirit that binds everybody together. Resilience and perseverance. They don't never say die attitude. They won't give up, just like that, right, Deepthi? I can see that in your face. Growth mindset. They want to grow. Nothing can stop them. They want to excel. They want to grow, and that's the only way you can survive in a startup. And flexibility and adaptability. Now, the bigger question is, can we bring all of them in this large organization setup that I was speaking about? For today's purpose, let's just focus on 4 of it, right? And all of you are familiar with weighted, shorted, job first, WSJF. Okay, I did not use any of that. I just picked up 4 things which are which are in a way more successful in Schneider. Also, something that I feel there's a lot of work to be done. Number 1 is vision and focus. This focus is a term that is not well understood. When you say focus, when you say priority, it means if you want to do 10 things and you ask somebody, what's the top 3 things that you need to do, they'll say, okay, A, B, C, or B, C, D. All right? It is our ability to say no ruthlessly to the remaining 7. The remaining 7 doesn't matter. That's what the prioritization means. It's not that, I think all 10 are important, but the most important is the first 3. So we'll first start with that and then work on the 7, then work on the 10th. Doesn't work. You should be very ruthless in saying no. I'm saying absolutely no to the remaining 7. I'll only have focus on the first 3. So what we have defined is a portfolio system where we have a business vision from which we have identified what our portfolio should look like, the product portfolio will look like. It goes through this stage of prioritization through various methods, WSJF or any other method, doesn't matter. That's more of a transactional thing. So we prioritize, and then we have agile teams working on them to get to that value delivered to the customer. So the transition that we have seen is a state like this, from where different people were pulled into innovation projects, new development, maintenance projects, operations. From there, we created a unified vision of a backlog. Let's call it the product portfolio. And we feed in people to that. So the capacity is managed, and accordingly, it is these guys who have to decide what's on priorities. Is project A important? Project C important? Is operations important? Is innovation important? You figure it out, and then tell me what I need to work on. So the capacity is, again, fixed. You have more predictability in getting there. And finally, you celebrate the outcome and not just the output. Output is the code that you produce, the hardware that you make. But what is more important is the outcome that you leverage. Second is customer centricity. Now, throughout the product lifecycle, whatever be a product is, most of our products are in the electromechanical world, very, very complex products. So it has got a stage of exploration to scaling up to growing, sustaining, and retiring. Throughout this, we do a constant endeavor to be with the customer, listen to the customer. And it's not easy, unlike the startup and a website thing that I spoke about. We are working with very, very difficult customers. To get their time, to get their mind share, we have to use a variety of techniques, work with various customer personas. So we use a combination of techniques like market surveys, customer demos, which are extremely useful, field tests, also commercial events, fairs, where we try to identify what the customer is really grappling with. One word about this demo. Most of the time, this demo is misunderstood to say that, yeah, I think it is to convince and attract new customers. It is to achieve a personal objective. I'm working on this. I think it's great. My customer acknowledges this. Show that you're making progress and seeking appreciation. This is all there, but most important objective of a demo is to test and learn. I want to test whether in an iPhone, this small button is useful for the customer. Is it easy for using? Is it easy for scrolling, navigating without a touchpad, without a physical keyboard? That's the assumption that iPhone wanted to test at that time, and that's the only lesson that they're learning based on that prototype. The third is collaborating by design. Most of you might be familiar with this model. It is from Spotify. There's a little bit adapted for Schneider. We have agile teams, which are called squads, a team of around 10 people. Leagues are a combination of agile teams. Chapters cut across teams where they have similar competencies, maybe hardware, electromechanical, or mechanical, or whatever. So that's the chapter structure. Now, how it helped is it helped to break the silos. Previously there was a hardware team saying and pushing it to the others, saying that, yeah, now it's your turn. Integrate the firmware. And then they passed it on to manufacturing. Yeah, now it's your turn. Fair admission, it's still there. I'm not saying that this silo problem is solved, but due to this structure, it is greatly reduced. At least it is much more manageable, easier for people to talk to each other, collaborate, and solve the problems. It becomes much more easier by design. And more than that, the learning part. In addition to all the formal trainings that we have a lot of opportunities where people can come together as a community of practice, share tacit knowledge, something that's very difficult to write it down. And how did they address a particular problem? So these top problems are much more discussed. There are several forums like webinars and live talks and keynote sessions that we do regularly, which helps us to do that. And finally, experimentation and innovation. I think no organization in this context can survive without that. We have innovation labs where people fully focus their energy and attention on innovation. We spend about 5% of our GDP exclusively on R&D. So that's kind of a decided budget for R&D, and that gives a lot of impetus to this product development area. Now, having said all this, I don't wish to paint a very rosy picture and say that, yeah, I think we have solved all problems and this is all there. There are challenges in terms of people. It's an extremely complex organization, diverse organization spread across geographies. So that people factor that I spoke about previously is still something that is keeping on bothering us every single day, but we are slowly getting there. So in terms of a transformational journey, we are in the journey and not at the summit yet. But in a true agile way, we do things, we experiment. If it doesn't work, we pivot. That's all from me.